Welcome back to my channel Famous and Fabulous, and discuss each other's in a professional manner. Why don't we? Listen, Peter. This is the thing. You're crossing a boundary. Simply remain alive. I will never lose you. Don't do this. Please. Simply let it go. People typically picture the smiling, high-octane celebrity when they think of Tom Cruise, the adventurous person who clings to airplanes while they are in mid-air, the spokesperson for Mission Impossible, and a major force in Hollywood. Behind the stage press appearances and dazzling smile, however, is a man who is notoriously reserved, fiercely devoted, and occasionally shockingly unforgiving. Although Tom Cruise rarely discusses his opponents in public, individuals who have collaborated with him have heard opposing viewpoints. The resentment, the silent blacklisting, and the icy rage he saves for people who have transgressed his boundaries. Cruise never forgets, whether it's betrayal on set, disrespect off camera, or challenges to his convictions. We're exposing today the 6 actors that Tom Cruise detests and the reasons why his billion-dollar enterprise is rumored to be associated with them. Let's just say that there isn't a stunt double to save you when you get on Cruise's bad side. Cruise is too cool for Brad Pitt. Because this book touched on some important topics, you can see why people are loyal to it. Cruise and Pitt shared the screen in Interview with the Vampire, but their friendship was undoubtedly absent. Their relationship behind the scenes was hostile from the beginning. Set insiders claim that the two often disagreed on artistic direction, with Cruise perceived by Pitt as suffocatingly passionate and Brad as cold, uninterested, and more concerned with getting through the shoot than forming a genuine bond. Tom, who values accuracy, self-control, and complete commitment to his tasks, was not pleased with what he saw as Pitt's icy lack of interest. Instead of the synergy or even camaraderie he had hoped for, he received isolation, stillness, and obvious discomfort in between takes. Pitt wasn't sugarcoating it in subsequent interviews. He referred to the entire experience as emotionally taxing and creatively restrictive, calling the production horrible. That kind of frankness might have validated Tom's pre-existing feelings. Cruise, who is renowned for keeping quiet about anything unfavorable, never discussed the conflict in public. But in Hollywood, deeds speak louder than words. Both actors have never collaborated again, even though they have been A-listers for decades. Not once. Even in a large ensemble cast, no. And that silence is deafening, given how intertwined the industry is. However, Tom wasn't the only professional irritated by the next person on this list. She made the conflict extremely personal by questioning something he considers sacred. The public rebuttal that personalized it was Brooke Shields. Claps help me, Richard. Brooke Shields wasn't placed on Tom Cruise's blacklist by the film. It was being a mother. More precisely, she made the courageous and widely reported choice to talk candidly about using antidepressants throughout her harrowing fight with postpartum depression. For many women at the time, this action helped destigmatize a very real and much misunderstood battle. However, Cruise, who was adamantly opposed to psychiatry by science, surprised audiences in 2005 when he openly criticized Shields' decision, calling the use of medication reckless and harmful, during an interview on The Today Show that has since become notorious. Even by the frequently uncensored standards of Hollywood, the comments were startling. Brooke did not remain quiet. In a scathing New York Times op-ed, she retaliated, accusing Cruise of disseminating harmful false information, disparaging women's experiences, and exhibiting a startling lack of knowledge about mental health concerns. Her remarks struck a deep chord with a society that is becoming more conscious of the significance of advocacy and support for mental health. Cruise was the target of an immediate and fierce backlash. Experts in mental health denounced his remarks. Fans voiced their indignation, and other famous people supported Shields. What started out as a standard War of the Worlds press tour swiftly descended into a major PR catastrophe. Despite Cruise's alleged private apology to Shields after the situation had subsided, insiders maintain that the harm had already been done. The relationship never quite got back on track. Years later, they are still never seen at the same industry gatherings. Mutual friends claim that they keep a courteous but distinctly purposeful distancing. The following actor, however, not only disagreed with Cruise but also frequently and publicly made fun of him. From interview to fame, Matt Lauer. Hello. What are you doing? Hello? I'm going to go grab some chocolate cones first, so hurry up. Now those dinosaurs have a reason. It started out as a standard promotional interview, another stop on the war, of the world's press tour, but it turned into one of the most notoriously awkward incidents in Tom Cruise's career. Cruise spoke with Matt Lauer about the movie on NBC's Today Show, a heated and intensely personal argument over psychiatry, prescription drugs, and mental health, all of which are closely related to Cruise's steadfast Scientology beliefs, quickly descended from what should have been a routine conversation. Cruise lost his temper when Lauer retaliated and defended the usage of antidepressants. He dismissed Lauer as ignorant and careless, calling him glib. Cruise's voice became more piercing as the conversation heated up. The atmosphere in the studio intensified as his body language became more tense. As one of Hollywood's most calculating, stars lost control of the story in front of the cameras. Millions of spectators watched live. Lauer attempted to remain composed, but Cruise's unrelenting tone obviously upset him since he was taken aback by the ferocity. Crew members reported that the environment was extremely cold following the segment. The two didn't speak to each other when the cameras stopped. There was a heavy, revealing quiet, no post-interview niceties, and no handshake. The clip burst. It gained widespread popularity before the term "going viral" was even used in popular culture. It took over headlines, gave rise to innumerable late-night jokes, and sparked a media frenzy over Cruise's personal convictions that persisted for years. However, the consequences didn't end there. Cruise refrained from publicly boasting when Matt Lauer's career collapsed years later due to grave accusations of misbehavior. Although he remained silent, some close to him claim that his quiet said a lot. Not only was he not astonished, but he was also not crying. And the following name belongs to someone who made fun of Tom's height in addition to his beliefs. The comedian who went too far was Seth Rogen. That's incredible. The cannabis is in the bag then. Lovely. All right. Tom Cruise became one of Seth Rogen's favorite targets for years since he loves to joke. Rogen didn't hold back when discussing Cruise's fervent public persona, his steadfast adherence to Scientology, or his renownedly small stature. He fired shot after shot, and each time the crowd erupted in laughter. Seth regularly made fun of Cruise's enigmatic reputation, his hyperactive demeanor, and yes, even the way he dashes in almost all action films, whether on late-night talk programs or in informal conversations. However, one narrative went too far. In an open and honest podcast interview, Seth revealed something shocking. He had already paid Cruise a visit at his house with Judd Apatow, in the hopes of having a light-hearted and imaginative meeting. Rather, according to Rogen, it swiftly devolved into what seemed like a forced science pitch. The interaction, according to him, was uncomfortable, passionate, and strangely theatrical, like something from a parody sketch. He didn't stop there, though. On stage, in interviews, and online, Seth made the entire incident into a hilarious performance that made people laugh. He received praise as the clip went viral and made news. At the cost of Tom. Cruise was obviously not giggling. According to those close to the actor, he was furious over how Rogen turned the private meeting into entertainment material, in addition to the purported recruitment story. Cruise is a fiercely private and image-conscious man, so the betrayal was deeply felt. The fallout was immediate and irreversible. One thing has stayed constant despite Seth Rogen's continuing success as a writer, director, and comedy titan. He has never been approached for even a supporting role, asked to appear in a cameo, or requested to work on a Cruise-themed movie. Loyalty is crucial in Tom's world, and the bridge is reduced to ashes after it burns. The following actor trashed Tom's entire career on national television, not simply making jokes about him. The direct shot that went around Hollywood was Mickey Rourke. This really annoys me, you know. Your store is really clean. Tom Cruise was the world's most successful person in 2022. Top Gun. Maverick was being hailed as the movie that single-handedly pulled moviegoers back into cinemas following the pandemic dip, breaking box office records and reviving a popular franchise. Hollywood applauded. It was appreciated by critics. Drivers were crowded with fans. Cruise was praised by the industry as a cinematic savior. However, some people did not participate in the standing ovation. Never one to keep quiet, Mickey Rourke made an unedited appearance on Piers Morgan and delivered a vicious critique. He did more than simply criticize Cruise's accomplishments. With scathing disdain, he rejected it completely. In reference to Cruise's intense heroic roles, Rourke stated plainly, he's been doing the same part for 35 years. He mocked Maverick, claiming that Cruise's movies lacked true artistic depth and were trite and predictable. I'm not impressed by that, he said icily. I want to watch some fucking acting. For Cruise, who had dedicated years of time, energy, and personal danger to bringing Top Gun back to life, it went beyond simple scathing critique. It was an insult to the public. Maverick wasn't merely a follow-up. It was a passionate production that Cruise had battled to produce on his own terms, a cinematic love letter. It was devastating to have. It destroyed at the height of its success. Cruise was mute as usual. No interview backlash, no public reply. However, others in his close-knit group claim that the reaction behind the scenes was anything but subdued. Insiders said that Cruise's close producers made it quite evident. Mickey Rourke would no longer be allowed to appear in any productions that were linked with Paramount or cruise lines. He was quietly but successfully placed on a blacklist. It was quick. It was the end. It was also intimate. Additionally, the last actor on this list did more than merely disparage Cruise's work. On a level that altered everything, he betrayed Tom, Kidman, Nicole. From matrimony to rebellion. I'll follow your instructions. Well done, girl. He was in love with her. That's how it appeared from the outside anyway. Hollywood elite included Nicole Kidman and Tom Cruise. They had it all. The red carpets, the glitzy magazine covers, the big budget movies. However, there were more than just emotional repercussions when their marriage suddenly fell apart in 2001. It was calculated and surgical. Days before their 10th anniversary, Cruise filed for divorce. Whether intentional or not, this action neatly exempted him from California's regulations governing the distribution of spousal assets, which would have called for a more equitable financial divide. Nicole was left reeling after being caught, completely off guard. Her post-divorce interviews were honest, candid, and incredibly relatable. She acknowledged that she had genuinely thought they would age together. The sadness was evident and genuine, but it wasn't simply the divorce that shattered any hope of reconciliation. It was a form of ideology. Cruise's identity is still strongly tied to the Church of Scientology, which Nicole started to discreetly distance herself from. Even worse, in the eyes of the church, she started getting back in touch with people Tom had allegedly cut off contact with, including old acquaintances and co-workers who had been rejected by the leadership of Scientology. Nicole's world grew as Cruise's became more constrained and alone. She took on daring, difficult movie parts, won an Oscar, and reconstructed her reputation with poise and self-reliance. Cruise never got back together, not even for the sake of their kids, despite her shame and her cautious quiet about the personal specifics of their breakup. Notably, he did not attend the wedding of their son, Connor. Isabella, their adopted daughter, is rarely, if ever, spotted in public with Nicole and is firmly a part of the church. Cruise and Kidman haven't been pictured together for over 20 years, despite their past joint history. No mutual events, no family reunions, no red carpets, nothing. Some attribute it to unresolved heartache. Others draw attention to Cruise's fixation with control and the strict confines of science. However, one thing is for sure, Tom Cruise completely destroys a relationship, rather than merely leaving it behind. Steele is the one behind the smile. That's it. There were 6 actors who irritated Tom Cruise. Some made barbs and jokes, while others, made the error of attempting to confront the man in charge of the franchise. Relationships are valuable in Hollywood. Additionally, when Tom Cruise becomes cold, it can ruin careers in addition to hurting feelings. Which dispute caught you off guard the most? Do you believe Cruise was righteous or was merely harboring resentment? Leave a comment with your ideas. Please click the like button, subscribe, and ring the bell if you would want to see more behind the velvet curtain insider drama. Because even the biggest Hollywood stars have shadows to cast.